I think that people have believed the lie, right? It goes back to lies. And that it's my body and it's my choice. That we've put ourselves above God.
Welcome to this episode of the His Hill Podcast. My name is Kelly Doherty and I'm your host. I'm joined today by an assistant or a co-host. This is my wife, Arlene. You've met her before, and she's sitting in with us today. We have a friend with us that from the local area. Her name is Wendy Riggot. Wendy and her husband, the way we met them is they owned a coffee shop in town, which was the coolest coffee shop I had ever gone to. And our students used to just flood the place and do their homework there. And it was a wonderful place, and it was a great season. And they're moved on to other things now. But anyway, we still see them from time to time. And we ran into Wendy the other night at a gala for the local pregnancy center in Boerne, Texas, and asked if she would be willing to come on the podcast. And she's willing. I think that's as far as I can go, is she's willing to do it. So anyway, we finally settled on a day, and she's here. So Wendy, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's great to have you. I appreciate you just carving some time out, because we know you're really busy with all that you're doing. Wendy, Arlene and I have been looking forward to sitting down with you and talking with you, because we've had nice visits with you and encouraging visits with you and your family, with your husband, your daughter, and but we've never had the opportunity to hear your whole story. We know bits and pieces, but we're looking forward to hearing this. Let's just start now. You came to Texas. You and your husband came to Texas from Florida, South Florida.
Yep.
Is that where you grew up?
Yep.
Okay. Well, tell us about it. Tell us about growing up. What was your family life like? Just tell us these things.
Okay. Well, I grew up literally at the church.
Oh wow.
So I was a preacher's kid.
Okay.
So we lived on the 10-acre property of the church. And so my whole life was running around the church property, riding horses, getting into all kinds of trouble, exploring. I loved it. I loved the life. And we had cow pastures all around us. And so it was beautiful. So my dad was an Episcopal priest.
Okay.
So we were raised Episcopal. And it was a great community environment. So I don't know where you want me to go from there, but
that's actually, how many siblings do you have?
I have one sister. She's an older sister.
Okay.
Yep.
And that's interesting. The life you're describing sounds more like you grew up in Texas than in Florida, because everybody, in Florida, everybody thinks Miami, thinks beach, thinks that kind of thing.
Well, the cool thing about back then, it's not this way now, but we lived in the country, but it was 15 minutes to Fort Lauderdale Beach.
Oh, wow.
So we had the best of both.
No kidding,
Yeah, so that was nice. But as things changed down there, we were looking for a place where we could feel more in the country, and that's why we ended up in the hill country of Texas. So.
Okay, great. So growing up then, would you say that it was a time that you were encouraged in Christ?
I would say that I picked up on stuff. My dad was a great preacher, I will say. He was a wonderful preacher. So I heard what he had to say. My Sunday school teachers were good, teaching me some basic principles. And it was really surrounded around grace, right? Not a lot on the other side, the law, but which was good, and it ended up in the future being very good. But what we saw on the pulpit was not what we had at home.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so it wasn't, my dad was on the property 100% of the time, but he was not available probably 90% of the time emotionally to us. So I love my dad. He passed away last year. And it was a good childhood, right? But I was alone and didn't have that nurturing and that being raised in a family. Like, we're like very intentional now to raise our kids. And it just wasn't that way for different reasons. And I don't want to dishonor my parents because I love them and I know they did the best that they could, even in their own brokenness.
Okay.
Right?
Well, was there a particular time, when did you come to know Jesus?
So I think I was around 6 years old, and I vividly remember being in our driveway with the cows right next to me, and just feeling the call of the Lord. I don't know if it was something in Sunday school I had heard that day, but I remember saying, Lord, I want to believe in you. And I said a prayer right then and there, and I felt a calling to serve him.
Okay.
And I wanted to be a missionary. That's what I wanted to do as I got into my 12, 13-year-old, and did a couple of missionary trips to Honduras and Panama, and I was like, this is what I'm doing with my life.
Okay. So you had it seems like at a young age, a growing desire to walk with the Lord.
Yeah, certainly.
Okay. So how did this play out for you, going in school, early years, high school, what?
Yeah, so I came out of childhood into teenagehood, preteen, not having a lot of self-esteem, being very naive, and very vulnerable.
Okay.
So that was something that I didn't recognize at the time, but I was kind of just wandering around, literally, like, I don't know what's right. I know what's right. I know what's wrong, like big things. But I didn't know how to navigate the world. I didn't have any skills or ability to do that. And so I was definitely a target for predator. And when I was 13, I was sexually assaulted. And after that, I just went down a road of a series of bad decisions. Bad decision after bad decision. And the thing is that I never actually, that was a secret that I kept until very recently.
So you said that earlier you had low self-esteem. And then something like this happens. Did you begin to believe something about yourself that just wasn't true?
Absolutely. It solidifies that feeling of worthlessness. And that there was something wrong with who I was.
Okay.
Not just what I did or what I was a part of. Of course, I blame myself for the things that happened, and that's part of the lie and the trap that you get wrapped up in. And definitely solidified it. And I just believed that for many, many years.
And so how were you, I was going to ask how were you dealing with it, but you said you were making a series of bad decisions from there. Was it all of those bad decisions, were they made with the intent of trying to rectify or to find a place, to find an identity?
I think it was to find love, because if somebody loved me, then I would know I was worth something.
Okay. Wow. Which is actually true. But where are we looking for the love?
Right. And so the father figure is so impactful to, young girls and boys, but I can only speak from a girl's perspective, that the time and attention that you give to a young girl will protect her. right? That gives her value. So if you will take the time, and not put other things first, and spend that time with her, let her know that she's worth something, or that she's good at this or good at that, or correcting or disciplining. Like, there was no discipline. It was, so it really set me up for failure and making poor decisions.
Okay.
Yeah.
What made you, I'm kind of hearing it as you're talking, but just maybe to ask the question, why did you keep it a secret?
Because I believed it was my fault.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I really reframed it in my mind until recently.
Really?
Yeah. I made it's a different story in my mind than what the reality was.
Okay.
And so, interestingly, for years, and especially working at the Pregnancy Care Center, which we'll get to later, but
Sure.
We do a lot of education on trauma, and every time I could identify with all the feelings they were talking about, but I'm like, I don't know why. I don't know why this is triggering me. Like, my heart would start racing, and I didn't know why. And I said, well, I don't remember anything happening. I don't remember a specific, like, somebody must have hurt me at some point.
Oh.
And so I had had it reframed for so long. And I was watching a TV show, and it was talking about somebody in South Florida who was a predator to young teenage girls. And it was a documentary. And it just hit me because it was around the same time that they were talking about. I was around the same age, and it was the exact same feelings, and it was the exact same manipulation, and all of the things that the survivors were talking about. I'm like, why do I feel this way? And so my husband and I were watching it together, and then the next morning I woke up, and the Lord just opened my eyes. That was you. That's what happened. And I just, it was just a revelation, like, oh my goodness, that's exactly what happened to me. And so I went and I told Keith right away. Never had shared that with him before either. And so it's been a very interesting journey realizing that, and very freeing. So much of the shame and the guilt of decisions I made as a teenager and a young adult, there was like a reason. I said, if I was talking to that 13-year-old girl, I would say, oh, it's okay, I get it. Yeah, I get it. And so I think I finally gave myself a break.
Okay. How has that affected your relationship with the Lord?
Well, I think when you see that a crime has been committed against you, or harm was committed to you at no fault of your own, right? He's definitely shown me that I am worth something. That was a lie.
Okay.
That belief was a lie.
Okay.
And that he sees me very differently.
Okay.
Right.
Wow. Yeah, that's neat. Okay, well then, let's back up now. Go back to your younger years. High school, college, what was that like for you? Where, you're still, at what point did you say that you stopped making bad decisions?
Oh.
She's like, well, I made a bad decision yesterday.
Do we ever?
Yeah, exactly.
But really bad decisions.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's a whole story in and of itself. So let me go back a little bit. So
Okay, yeah.
high school, as I'm, just reeling from the pain of all of this. So getting to high school, I have a boyfriend, and I end up pregnant at 16.
Mm-hmm.
So for me at that time, I was like, oh gosh, the shame I'm going to bring on my parents. My dad is a priest. My dad is a priest, right? But I was out of control. I mean, I just did whatever. Nobody ever stopped me. Nobody ever intervened. You know, they could see the signs. They could see. We would have parties at the church house, at the house that we grew up in when my parents were out of town. They'd leave a 16 and a 13-year-old home alone. And we would have parties there. And parishioners would see that. And nobody did anything, you know? And so that's part of like the pain, like, wait, these children are at home and nobody's intervening, right? And it was a different time, but not that different, like, you know. So anyway, so I end up pregnant at 16, and which was, of course, very painful, and for my parents, for sure. My mom says even now, she's like, your dad feels responsible for that.
Really?
Mm-hmm. He felt very responsible for that. I think he realized, you know, it was kind of too late that, you know, but so I had a choice, obviously.
Right.
But I knew I was raised well enough to know that life was important and that I was going to have this kid.
Okay. What is that like for a 16-year-old to make that decision that I'm going to have this child? I mean, I can't imagine what was going through your mind. How is this going to affect tomorrow? How is this going to affect the rest of my life? What was that like?
Well, scary, of course. Fortunately, I had, you know, my boyfriend's family and my own family. They all came around me and they supported me.
Wow.
Which made all the difference in the world.
Wow.
Without that, it would have been very difficult. It was embarrassing at school.
Oh,
obviously, right? Because I knew of other girls who had gotten pregnant, but they had chosen abortion.
Yeah.
And so just nobody knew, you know? I mean, it was a secret. And so it was like everybody was doing the same stuff I was. I just got caught.
Yeah.
And I don't look at it that way. I don't look at it as getting caught. I look at it as God was intervening in my life.
Wow.
That he was saying, okay, we're going to put an end to this. We're going to try at least. And he chose to bless me. Like, I received mercy.
Wow.
Right? I didn't get what I deserved. I embarrassed my whole family. I look like a fool. I changed the whole trajectory of my life by decisions that I had made. And, but God showed me mercy.
Wow.
And he gave me a gift of my son. Yeah.
How, well, I guess you're telling us just how, you know, the Lord's used it in your life. And that's, you know, I think people need to hear that. You know, God's causing all things to work together for good. We know Paul tells us that in Romans. So often we just stay in Romans 8:28, you know. But 8:29 tells us what his good is. You know, we think the good is going to make me feel better about this, is going to, you know, is going to, we have our own idea of what good is going to be. But the next verse says, conforming us to the image of his son, working out his life in us, the reality of all that he is in us, his mercy, his grace. And would you say that's, you know, looking back, that's exactly what the Lord was doing?
Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And how much, what a better way to learn to be a little bit more Christ-like than the sacrifice of raising a child. Like especially as a young child myself.
Kid. Yeah, you were a kid yourself.
Yeah. And so you learn. I was by no means perfect, but that was the start of the Lord trying to get me on a different path.
Okay. Wow.
So did you finish high school?
I did. I actually graduated early. I transferred to a school for kids who were like getting kicked out and all that, but that's all they had at the time. So
yeah,
I did. So I was a degenerate.
I was a degenerate.
I was like, yes, funny. I know. Thank you. I'm very aware of that. But I didn't care. So I graduated early and absolutely loved my son. And the moment he was born, I was like, oh my goodness gracious, what is this love? And what is this terrifying fear? I have to take care of you. And it changed me in a moment.
Wow.
A moment. It was so powerful. So,
see, that's the things people don't hear.
No.
And that's what people need to hear. You know, just the way the Lord has designed you, and because I remember the same thing when we had our first child. I mean, all of a sudden it was like, hover. This is very serious. I remember putting when we had our first child, it was time to bring her home. And I remember, and I talked with another father about this, and he said absolutely the same thing. I mean, everything you do, you're just watching, and you put your child in the car and you're driving, and a car pulled out in front of me about 100 yards away. And I remember foot on the brake, and like it just hits you that, oh my goodness, this is precious, and this is for me to guard, and this is a gift, and I need to be thankful and treat this, as a gift. So I think that's interesting, and it's encouraging to me to hear the same thing, that this happens in a 16-year-old's life, or maybe you were 17 by then. I was 17,
when I had him.
So this happens in your heart too, as a teenager. This is the way the Lord's designed us. That's
absolutely.
Well, that's great.
We often as women just, if you don't choose life, they like we've heard the stories just how women are still struggling. If they choose abortion, that connection has been made long before, like at the moment, that child is formed. Yeah. And you can't just erase that connection with an abortion.
It's so innate in us as women.
Yeah.
Something to our soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
That loss.
Every child that you've born. Yeah.
I appreciate y'all saying that, because that's something I can't say, but I appreciate that because people need to hear that. We talked about this before we started the podcast, where, just kind of wondering that there is a movement in this country that is fighting for life. But we notice that there's a lot of people who consider themselves Christians who don't take part in this. And just the question, where are they? Why is that not a burden, for at least for you to be in prayer? And I'm not saying prayer is a minimal thing. I think it's probably the most important thing, because it's a time for us to go before the Lord and say, we are in complete need of you. There's nothing that we in and of ourselves can do with this. But why? Where are people? If we want to encourage people to wake up to this. Like, there's nothing more precious from God but life.
Yes.
And he, that's what he's all about. He took dirt and breathed into its nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living being. Life for the human being is literally the life of God. There is nothing more precious. So why are we not disturbed? Why are we not shook by what goes on in this country?
I think that people have believed the lie, right? It goes back to lies. And that it's my body and it's my choice. That we've put ourselves above God. So look at birth control, right? Birth control pill. You're taking the control out of God. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just saying when it comes to birth control. But you're saying, okay, I'm going to decide if and when I'm going to get pregnant. And then when I want to get pregnant, I'm going to get off this pill and then I'm going to get pregnant. And then if I can't on my own, I'm going to go to IVF and I'm going to go get it. Right? And that's where it goes. So it's more about the heart of women. I'll speak to that first, but women believing that they are in control of their life and of their offspring if they want it or if they don't want it. And for guys, this is what I see with the millennial generation is whatever she decides, I will support her. And we see that over and over and over again, even if they don't believe in abortion, that they feel that it's wrong. They have been told for so many years that you have no right as a man to tell me as a woman what I do with my body.
Wow.
And so those are like the two perspectives I see most.
Well, I'll speak to that as a man. That bothers me because that's very unbiblical. The relationship between the man and the woman, as given to us in the Bible, is that the man is supposed to be the one that loves. He's supposed to be, not that the woman is not supposed to have love, but he is to initiate the love. And then Paul describes it like this: as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. This is a sacrificial, this is a costly love. And so at times that sacrifice is going to be speaking up and encouraging, demanding that she walk in what is true out of love for her. And just considering the other things that you've already told us, what you're doing by staying quiet is that you are refusing to encourage her toward what is good, the conforming to the image of his son, and you're denying, you're literally taking part in denying her created purpose in knowing what you described, that moment when you realize how precious this life is. Oh my goodness, I'm responsible. Oh my good, you're, pardon the wording, but you're raping her of her created purpose. And, we talked about this before we started recording, that the studies are showing while there is an increase among Gen Z of wanting to go to church and wanting to read the Bible sales are up. Matter of fact, in Russia, Bible sales are up over 3 times. But all of this is going on not within the evangelical church, but within the high church. And the studies are showing, because they're not finding, these young men are not finding a masculine experience in the evangelical church. And I have seen that for years. It's bothering me. And you're giving testimony to this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's definitely filtered into the generation.
Yeah.
And I think from what I see is the men who say that are also, another perspective on it, is that they are trying to relieve themselves of any guilt.
Okay.
It's her choice. It won't be, I'm not responsible, right? So that doing nothing is resolving, them of any wrongdoing.
Wow.
And so the number one influencer in a woman's decision for life or for abortion is the man.
Wow.
It's not the parents. It's not the church. It's not a pastor. It is the man. And so we encourage the men. We let them know that you're the number one influence. If you will support her, she's more likely to carry that child.
I'm just thinking, you started off with the struggle of feeling value in yourself, the low self-esteem, and then how you had your son, and realizing the value. Even before that, you realized the value of life, and so you carried your son and bore your son, and then could see the value. And I just wonder if so much of the struggles that obviously women have, and men included, but in this particular, discussion that we're having, if women just have no value from the Lord, don't know the value from the Lord, so then we try to find value within ourselves, and that's where the control issues become so prevalent.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But I think this valuable, the value of life that God gives and that he shows to us, that we are valuable to him. And when we don't know that, then we make bad choices.
Yeah.
Because we're trying to fill this emptiness that we feel.
Yes. That's just human nature.
Right.
Yeah, and I think some of the 20, 30-year-olds, and even 40-year-olds that at least that I've experienced, they're so focused on finding value in the things of this world. Their career, money, status, what they look like. I mean, I have women who are like, I'm going to have an abortion because I don't want to get big and fat.
Wow.
So that is a heart issue. This is not an abortion issue. This is a heart issue of where has our culture gone so wrong that a woman doesn't value motherhood, doesn't value life in its most vulnerable form. Even sometimes when we show them a baby.
Wow.
And they see it. They're so broken. They're so hopeless. Or that desire to fill that void, nothing can get in the way. Yeah. Whatever they've identified.
That's a spiritual issue. Wow.
Right.
Yeah, that's... And have you found that that's... I've been really encouraged. Arlene and I and our family own a business, and we are, and we have sponsored the pregnancy center. And so, one of the things that's just been a highlight for us every year is to go to the gala that actually was just what was it, 3 weeks ago? And what has encouraged me so, I look forward to going there because what I have found to be consistent every time we go, and I think we've been 4 or 5 times now, is it's obvious that Christ is being presented, that people are being encouraged to Jesus. And I'm wondering if you have found that is paramount, that is necessary for saving these lives.
Absolutely. Because without God, without Jesus, what would be their motivating factor, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
And so sometimes you'd probably be surprised how many women come in who say that they are Christian, who say that they go to church.
Really?
Who are married and go to church and want to choose abortion.
Wow.
I think it would shock you. I thought I was going there to work with girls like me, 16, 17, 18. But boy, was I surprised at the ages and the stability of some. That's not always the case. Some are in very hard situations. But the ones who profess to be Christians, I can be a little more encouraging.
Okay,
Maybe that's the word.
Okay.
Encouraging pulling out scripture.
Oh, okay.
Right? And as the Lord leads, and in most cases, it's been very impactful for those clients' choices in choosing, like someone just to like wake them up for a second and go, oh, what am I doing? And to them, sometimes I'll say, what do you feel God is saying about this situation? What is he saying to you about this situation?
Good question.
Yeah, and it's very interesting, some of the responses, but they're usually pretty insightful. Like, he's already telling them. They already know that choosing life is the right way, but they still are like, no, but it's not going to work in my case.
Wow. That's the reason I brought that up is because we can look at numbers, we can come up with arguments, we can try to persuade people, but with what you were telling me, it became very evident to me that this is strictly a spiritual issue, and that just is confirmation that we need to start with the source of life, and encourage. I mean, really, that's across the board in anything. Christ needs to be the foundation, the source of of what is going on, or this is all really has no purpose, and that's definitely true with abortion. I mean, it of course, if Christ is of no significance, then there's really no need for that life to be born. Mm-hmm. And but if Christ is the all in all, then there is every reason for that life to be born. What's your responsibility at the pregnancy center?
Well, I'm the nurse supervisor. I meet with clients. I help kind of schedule the nurses and teach. I do a lot of education with them. We have some amazing nurses there who are just awesome. So we talk to abortion-minded clients. We talk to clients just finding out they're pregnant and they are freaking out.
Yeah.
They don't even know what they want to do. They can't even think straight, right? 50% of pregnancies, all pregnancies, are unplanned. So, they don't realize that. They're like, oh, yeah. It's not very unusual that you are surprised by being pregnant, because most pregnancies are unplanned anyways. But one thing that I found, so another area that I'm working on now, I'm finishing up my internship with the Creighton Model Fertility Care System. Okay. Which also includes the NAPRO tracking. And
you're going to have to explain a lot.
Yeah. So what I found, which was very interesting, one, we were seeing tons of miscarriages, which were heartbreaking for the clients, even the ones who were abortion-minded, and they were having miscarriage, and they were devastated. And, so I was seeing this trend of a lot of miscarriages, and then I'm seeing, okay, why do they not realize that they're going to get pregnant? Like that was my question. Like, how do they, because they're not on birth control. I mean, most of them. Some of them are, and there's breakthrough, right? No birth control is 100%. But I'm like, why do they not know that every single month their body was designed? Every month. That's what the whole period, that's what it's, that's the whole point of it. And I just couldn't understand why they didn't know. And then I realized they don't know because they've never been educated. How many women have actually been educated on their hormones and their cycles? And, and the other question is, why are we having so many miscarriages? So I didn't know a whole lot about hormones and pregnancy and all of that. I was a cardiac nurse, and I did neurology for many years in adults. And so I really didn't know much, so I started like digging in and learning.
Wow.
And then our executive director was like, I would really like for you to look into natural family planning. And so I was like, natural family planning? What do I don't care about that. I'm too old for that. Anyway, it's like, it didn't apply to me. And I was like, how is this going to apply to our clients? I don't understand. So I researched and I found the Creighton model. And it was so medically based with over 40 years of science that I was shocked. So it's a way to teach women, young women, women of any reproductive age, how to cycle track. And they learn body literacy. They learn what their hormones are doing. It's individual for each client. And in the process of that, we can identify problems like PMS, which is not normal, ladies.
Right.
Despite what they tell us, it's not normal. It's not normal to have 7 days of 6 symptoms. You know, that is not normal. Also PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, very common. So all these irregularities that women are having, we're able to identify them pretty quickly and then get them to a NAPRO doctor who is specifically trained in this system, and they know when to check the labs. They know what days based on your chart that they can identify some of the same things and get the proper treatment for you. So it's a not traditional medicine route, but these are OBGYNs, family practitioners who have specifically been trained in the Creighton model and NAPRO technology.
Okay.
So that's a whole nother aspect we went down, and that education piece added so much to what we're able to teach the clients about their cycles. They have no idea why they're getting pregnant. They're looking at these, they're using these apps. And they're like, well, this was supposed to be my fertile day per my app. Well, your app doesn't know anything about your body at all.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, well, that's why you got pregnant, because you don't ovulate on the same day every month necessarily. And, you know, rarely do women ovulate on day 14 like they tell you do. That's just not how it works.
Wow.
So, and so what we found in the research is that when you, when a woman learns body literacy, they understand their body through education, they're going to appreciate it more, right? And when you appreciate something, you care for it. And when you care for it, you're less likely to give it away. Right?
Oh, wow.
So there's the prevention side. So teaching the woman her worth, how God created her, stop fighting it, right? This is how God created you. You are very worthy of God's love, of other people's love, right? Because he created you in such a delicate and intricate way. And when they learn that, it's amazing. They're just like, oh, wow, I had no idea. You know, so I love teaching the young women that. And so we're hoping that would be a preventative way, like just another approach, right? To teach them how they were made. And
that's another thing that I really love about the Hill Country Pregnancy Center is that it, and again, you know, just being educated by just going to the galas, even hearing what's going on, that there's much more going on than just, you know, trying to convince people not to have abortion.
Yes.
Although that would be wonderful if that was the only thing. But there's so many things that are going on there that, you know, I would
proactive.
Yeah, I would encourage people to, you know, to check with your, you know, if you're struggling with getting pregnant, if you are pregnant and just need advice, to check in with your local pregnancy center. You know, I don't know if they all do this, but boy, ours in the Hill Country does, and I would encourage people to call.
yeah. Yeah, we do a lot of good things, and you know, even STIs, so men and women coming in for STIs. So it's a great opportunity to teach them and educate them and show them what their real risks are. We have it's a very shocking chart. It's should have brought it with me today, but it shows you your exposure, and it is a powerful education tool because you can see the exponential growth and exposure with each new partner that you're with.
Okay. Wow.
So that's a whole nother piece that we do.
Right.
And we are also starting the abortion healing program as well.
Really?
Yes. So even if somebody has had an abortion, right, we want to be a place where people can come and start that healing journey.
Oh, I appreciate hearing that because I feel like as believers, we're really good at telling people what not to do. And, this is a sin. Don't do this. But we don't know, and we struggle with how to walk with people in their problems, in their failure, in their sin. How do we come alongside? How do we partner? How do we walk with them? If we're not, then we're not encouraging them to Christ. We're not, we're just saying, well, you screwed up and that's it. Thank you, God, that you didn't do that with us. Starting in the very beginning in the garden, when we messed up, when mankind messed up, God didn't say, gee, that's too bad. But he said, I've got a solution. And his name is Jesus, the woman's seed battling with Satan's seed, and a woman's seed will win. Christ will win. He didn't abandon us, and we shouldn't. Therefore, we should not. If he really lives in us by faith, if Christ lives in us, then he is not going to abandon anyone that comes into our path. We need to trust the Lord and walk with him. So that's really encouraging to hear that they're doing this.
Yeah. I think to have grace with people who have done things that you think are the unthinkable, that's definitely a journey that I've been on. And even though I had a teenage pregnancy, and I didn't consider abortion. I mean, I knew it was an option, but that wasn't the route I was ever going to go. And so there can still be this self-righteousness. Well, I didn't do that. But this person had an abortion. Well, how dare they, right? But what I've learned is that people are hurting. They have, they believe lies. They are in difficult situations, and most women do not want to have an abortion. I watch them struggle in their heart. They know it's wrong.
Wow.
They know, but they are convincing themselves there's no other way. And so if we can be compassionate to other people, other Christians even, right? In the church, sometimes we can be self-righteous. And I think that's what the world sees. They see a lot of, like you said, oh, don't do that, don't do that, don't do that. But we don't have open arms and say, come as you are, right? Come as you are to the Lord, because that's what Jesus says. Just come as you are. I don't want you to stay as you are.
Right.
But you come as you are. You don't clean yourself up first.
That's right.
Before you come.
Yeah, that's right.
And so we have to have individually as Christians the same perspective to other people.
Yeah, I appreciate
Instead
that.
of keeping us in our little church bubble, right? Because that's where the secrets are.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's, what you're describing is a sacrificial life. And that the thing about sacrifice, in Scripture we find that it's never convenient. It's always costly. You look at the sacrificial system, it was costly. You look at the ultimate example, for God so loved that he gave. He gave his only son. Christ, in Galatians 2:20, we're told that he loved us and gave himself up for us. Well, if it's his life that is indwelling us by faith, then it's going to be a sacrificial life. It's going to be costly. It's not going to be convenient. It's going to be scary. It's going to be hard. but he's the sufficiency for that. So we trust him, and we move toward these people. You know, it's such an encouragement to see that going on with our pregnancy center. It really is an encouragement. I mean, it just fires me up every year I go there. It reminds me of what is true, and that I need to trust him for this and move. You know, with you know, the things we're talking about today, the sanctity of life, but in all things, you know, to move toward people. You know, that if Christ is living in you, then your life is going to be about others, because that's his life. Yeah. Arlene, is there anything that you wanted to ask, or anything else you wanted to say?
Well, I was thinking about Cheyenne.
Yeah, I was too.
You're a sweet girl.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I was sitting here thinking we should have another episode and bring Keith in with this. But anyway, go ahead and let's tell us a little bit about Cheyenne.
Yeah, I'd like to hear.
I'll let you know that Keith and Wendy have 3 children, and their youngest, Arlene just brought up, their youngest is Cheyenne, who is one of the just precious sweetest people I have ever met in my life. I just love being around her. Mm-hmm. She just kind of brings joy into the room. And but yeah, what
I want to hear her story a little bit.
Yeah, so she was my second turning point in life, my second child, and really, really turned us around. I mean, okay, so she was.
Can I interrupt?
Mm-hmm.
So when did you get married? When did you meet Keith?
I met him at 19.
Okay.
And he had a son.
Okay.
Who was 3. Yes.
Okay.
And I had my 1.5-year-old son.
Okay.
So, yes. And then, so I got pregnant with Cheyenne, and we had her. I had a very traumatic birth. I had an abruption. And it was undiagnosed for a number of hours. And so she was taken out via emergency C-section and had basically no life in her. So they intubated her, CPR, and I hemorrhaged. So we both nearly died that day. Wow. So it was a turning point on many levels. She did survive, as you can tell, who's awesome, but she did suffer lack of oxygen, and so brain injury from that. And we have dedicated the last 27 years plus to caring for her and getting her the things that she needs. And so that affected our whole family. She was definitely the glue that brought us all together, brought the 2 boys together and our family, and has literally held us together all these years through many, many rough roads. But, she is a joy. She was that way, pretty soon after she came out. Once they took the tube out of her throat, she...
I think, again, that shows just the value of life and God's image being shown, because something I've noticed about Cheyenne, she can make you feel really good just when she looks at you and smiles. Or she'll wave to you from across the room, and you think, wow, how privileged I am that out of all the people in this room, she chose me to wave at.
Yeah.
It's just, what we miss out on too. Because we devalue what God has done. And, she is precious.
Yeah, she is.
Yeah, I appreciate the example that you guys are as a family, and thank you for being that witness, in our community. And, there was I remember the article that was written about you and Cheyenne when you had the coffee shop. That I read it, and I was sitting there waiting for my order, and I pulled it off the counter and I was reading it, and I didn't finish, so I took my phone out and I took a picture of each page so I could finish it. And I thought, this is a great story. But thank you for that example. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, Wendy, thank you for being here. Thank you for, again, I know you had to cut some time out because you're very busy at the pregnancy center and at home. And thank you for doing this, just sitting down with us. I really enjoyed the visit.
Yeah, me too. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, it's been great.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode hosted by Kelly and Arlene Doherty, along with Wendy Riggot. Thank you so much for listening. Remember to keep your eyes fixed on Christ. God is good, and He is good at being God. Let us live our lives with the assurance that He is who He says He is. Thanks again for tuning into the His Hill podcast today. I'm Lizzie, and we'll see you next week.